Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Combat Sports UK MMA podcast. It's Taylor Collard here, and I'm delighted to be joined by these fine gentlemen. A little bit of a reunion for us. The first time we've been together since the UFC 30th birthday is, of course, Nathan Shields, the Octagon Oracle, and our Canadian comrade over there, John Boguslavski. Gentlemen, how are you, Nathan? How are you getting on, mate?
All good, mate. How about you?
I'm good. I was just saying off camera there that you get moments where you're just excited. I've just been excited to record this podcast all week, so I'm really happy to be here with you, gents. John, how are you doing, mate? How's the snow?
I'm in Toronto, so no snow, oddly enough.
Still no snow.
Yeah, Montreal though has been pouring, but here we're all good.
So there you go. Us Brits have learned something about Canada. It doesn't snow everywhere.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so let's get into it. UFC 296. Leon, don't let him bully you, Rocky. Edwards defending his welterweight title against Colby Chaos Covington. A match seemingly a long time in the waiting, right? Colby was there in London, kind of doing his thing, weighing in as the backup fighter, so to speak. Where do we want to start with this matchup? I mean, Nathan, you kick us off. You said to us you've got a surprise take. I don't know if that was on something else on the card or was it on this event?
Yeah, that was on Ian Gary. I mean, this one may well ruffle a few feathers, but still, I'm excited for this main event. I'm excited for UFC 296. I do not believe, and we'll just jump straight into it, I do not believe that Colby Covington should be fighting for the title. I do not believe that he's the number one contender. I don't believe he's done anything to deserve the shot that he's getting. And I think that's going to pay dividends on the night because I think Leon Edwards is a class above Colby, and I think he absolutely pieces Colby up. There's my very short take on it, but I think Leon wins this fight quite comfortably. I think he beats the brakes off Colby my official prediction is a fourth round knockout after absolutely just blitzing him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good little intro to it. I mean, I actually saw a statistic based on what you said there today that Leon Edwards was inactive for about 400 and something. It was around about 460 days, and he got booted from the rankings during COVID. Colby has been inactive for over 500 days, and he's obviously still in there. So there is a narrative definitely there. I mean,
Dana White privilege.
Dana White privilege, yep. Right? John, what's your take on the Colby should he, shouldn't he discussion?
I agree with everything I said. I don't think Colby deserves to be in this title contention. He already got two chances versus Kamaru, lost both times. He didn't fight anybody in the top 15 contender.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no names on the top 15 he has fought or won against, unless Lawler is still ranked, but he just retired. RDA is between lightweight and welterweight, unranked. And his last win was Jorge Masvidal, who retired as well, who couldn't finish him on the end of his career. The last person he finished was Tyron Woodley by injury, who also isn't in UFC anymore. Just got knocked out by Jake Paul in his last fight. So, in terms of what Colby deserved to do this title, just talk. That's all I believe. There's a list of welterweights deserve this title shot in front of Colby, including one who's on this card as well.
Well, thoughts. Well, before we jump into that, actually, just a bit. You mentioned Masvidal, then, John, and I've got to say, mate, looking at this screen, if we put a white suit on you and give you a slice of pizza, we've got a Jorge Masvidal sat in front of us. We're all good to go. But yeah, it's. I completely agree. I think the big standout top contender, let's be honest, was Belal Muhammad, and Belal's not got an exciting style. He's not a fan favourite. In fact, you could say he's quite the contrary to that. No one's a massive Belal Muhammad fan. But if you look at his wins, he's beat Luque, he's beat Wonderboy, he beat Gilbert Burns. There was another one in there as well that's ranked in the top 15. But like John says, Colby's beat nobody. A retired Tyron Woodley, a retired Jorge Masvidal, a retired Robbie Lawler, a retired Damian Maia. He's just... There's nobody there. There's nobody currently in the ranking. You talk about RDA as well. RDA is 39 years of age now, and he's a lightweight.
Yeah.
So unranked at welterweight. So Colby's done nothing. That being said, there is a bigger conversation, which is that Colby gets his game, man. He understands it. The fact that he's got this title shot shows everybody else what they're doing wrong, because Colby's talked his way into a title, and it's as simple as that.
He has. I mean, if you go back to kind of the start of this Colby Leon match, he did go and weigh in at London. I mean, I guess it is a wider discussion on should those fighters that weigh in as backups be guaranteed the next shot, right? Which is essentially what Colby's done. It's essentially what Colby's done. Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. Like, I think Colby doesn't deserve this shot. I think had Leon and Bilal not fought before, albeit stopped by that eye poke, but let's face it, Leon was beating him from pillar to post before that eye poke. I think there would be a bigger push for Bilal to get the shot. But I think because of that little narrative, I think that's the only kind of speed bump, that they've had to get over from that side, right? Obviously, Colby's talking, his trash talk and everything like that, putting himself out there. Yeah, that's what's got him the shot and going to weigh in at London. But we are here. This is what we've got. Nathan, you kind of gave us a bit of a preview on your thoughts. You think Leon's going to get a stoppage. John, what do you think, mate? How do you see this fight going?
As much as Colby still doesn't deserve it, still an intriguing matchup because of the cardio in both men. But Colby's a decision maker, and Leon went to decision quite a lot. So I still think this will go to decision. But I do think Leon will get a dominant win.
Dominant win.
Yeah, I think Colby likes to crotch sniff a lot, so we'll see a lot of takedown attempts. As long as Leon doesn't get taken down in the middle of the octagon, I do believe Edwards will get it done.
I think maybe I'm looking at this too factually, but I look at it right and I go, you look at Colby Covington, you make a comparison to Kamaru Usman. Okay, Usman hits harder, better wrestler, bigger guy. More. You could say more aggressive. I do think Colby's actually got better hands, despite not having the power. But Colby's not, he doesn't drag himself down to this weight. He fights at his natural weight, as he's always telling everybody, which, all credit to him. But I do think that gives him a significant disadvantage. And Leon can wrestle. He can stop the takedowns. He can get his own takedowns. Everyone talks about how good Leon is grappling anyway. You just don't ever really see it in the fights because he's a striker, so he sticks there. But like you said, on the feet, he's going to piece Colby up. And if Colby does have an insane cardio. We've all seen that. He can go for 5 rounds hard. Leon, the only time I've ever seen Leon particularly look gassed or look tired was in the first fight with Kamaru Usman. And I just think that was down to the climate that he was fighting in. He said it himself. It didn't feel right. He felt completely off. And, we obviously saw him back in London do something quite comfortably, really.
He was also fighting at altitude.
That's what I mean, the climate. Yeah, it's just
the head kick knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Colby is a stubborn guy, as we know. So I don't remember him getting finished only against the first fight, Kamaru, where he broke his jaw and ran out the octagon.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't remember Colby getting finished. And I do see Edwards' massive advantage on the striking. Good takedown defense. Colby only utilizes his wrestling. So when Leon can stuff the takedown attempts and on those clinch situations, that's when Edwards will strike. What is like when he defended a takedown in London versus Kamaru and threw a few some beautiful knees and some elbows off the clinch. That was how I see most of his strikes landing on Colby when Colby gets in close with him.
I mean, I've just done the Colby Covington piece, Taylor. So that'll be obviously getting posted out later this week. But I've just kind of reviewed this fight and talked about Colby. And the problem with Colby is Colby might be the second best guy in this division. He might be. Skill for skill, he might be, but we can't tell that because he hasn't fought anybody else in it. Apart from Kamaru Usman, who he's lost to twice. But that's just factual. Don't get me wrong, I like Colby. He's good fun. He's entertaining. He talks a lot of shit. We can all kind of get behind that. It makes it enjoyable. You can't miss him when he's there. Fight-wise, He doesn't have the most attractive style, but he can wrestle. He can fight at a high pace. He does like to throw hands occasionally if he feels he's got a chance in that position. And he's not bad on the feet. So I've got no issue with Colby. He could be the best outside of Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. He genuinely could be. But we've got no evidence to suggest that that's the fact. That's the case. He hasn't fought Gilbert Burns. He hasn't fought Bilal Muhammad. He hasn't been in with Luke or Gary or Neil or any of these guys.
Anybody.
Wonder Boy, none of them. He's fought nobody.
Yeah.
So for him to be in this position, it just shows how good he is on the mic and at doing what he does to get himself into these positions, because nothing he's done inside the octagon has earned him the stripes that he's got.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, from watching it from a technical point of view, so I was saying I watched both fights. I was at the London fight, so I don't remember it, obviously. Too many beers. So I had to watch that again today. And I also watched the Colby Usman fight, because I don't put any precedent on Colby Masvidal. Everyone can, I mean, Masvidal hit him with a shot, and that was about it. Usman has not
follow up at all.
Yeah, Usman has knocked Colby down upwards of 4 times. 2 times in the last fight in that second round, albeit consecutively, so 2 punches straight after each other. And I think 3 or 4 times even in the first fight, the last one obviously breaking his jaw and whatnot. And what stood out to me, watching the fight back to back in the same day, because I watched them today, was Leon did exactly the same game plan, or not exactly, but it's a very similar game plan against Usman in that third fight as Usman did against Colby in the second fight. And that was holding the outside, moving around the outside, hitting him at distance, but also when Colby came in to try and do his smothering shot like he did so effectively against RDA, he hit him big time. And he rocked him quite a lot. And Leon did similar in London, except he put in the body kicks. He threw in knees off the clinch that made a massive, massive difference. So, yeah, I think Colby's striking is deceptive because of the volume that he throws, and it makes it, I think, look better than it is. Leon is leaps and bounds ahead. Watching him in that second Usman fight, and I implore anyone to go and watch that, because in the speed that Leon's throwing 3 strikes, and it was normally a jab, a hook, and a kick, Usman is only throwing his jab still. It was just lightning fast, and his reactions were just so quick to it. So I found it really interesting to see the contrast, and I wonder if Leon's going to employ that same game plan. For me, I think what Leon needs to do, I think he can finish Colby if he can stay away from that wrestling. What he's got to do is win the first 2 rounds, because we know Colby tends to come on a bit stronger in the later rounds. And Leon, I think there is a question about his cardio, not from the Usman fight, obviously the third one. Second one, yes, but that's altitude. What I go back to is that Nate Diaz fight. In the 4th and 5th rounds, you could quite clearly see that Leon was starting to blow big time. And it's obviously become a bit of a meme since then, right? So that for me is the biggest worry. If I'm looking at Leon, I think he's got to win the first 2, definitely the 3rd round, to make sure that if he goes to those later rounds, if Colby does come on strong and can tie him up, that he's at least got 3 in the bag and he can get to a decision, so to speak. I think it's interesting. Go on, mate.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm just going to jump in, John, and then I'll let you jump in and have your say on it, because there's a couple of things you said there, Taylor, which were interesting. Number one, you talked about the body kicks from Leon, and this is why Leon was able to beat Kamaru Usman when so many others haven't, because they're so concerned about the wrestling that they don't want to throw those kind of moves, and they're going to be the same thing against Colby. Most people won't throw a kick to the body or something along those lines at Colby because they're just too concerned. He's going to grab the leg, he's going to shoot down, he's going to get hold of them, and they're not going to be able to get away. Leon's not bothered. He's not bothered. He'll quite happily throw that kick. If Colby catches it and takes him down, Leon's comfortable. He's not worried. And it's that mentality is going to be a big factor, because I think as well, Colby gets into a lot of opponents' heads. He talks a lot of shit. He riles them up. He does whatever. You might see Leon get riled up, but once he gets in there, he's going to be ice cold. Leon's not that guy. He's not one to get wound up and come out in the news and shout this, that, and all the rest of it. And you talked about the Nate Diaz thing there, and obviously Nate slapped the life out of him, didn't he, in the final round, and then flipped him the bird and didn't really do anything else when he should have jumped all over him at that point.
He won the fight, though. He won the fight.
Well, I was just looking back because we do need to remember that Leon absolutely pieced Nate up for 4 minutes and 40 seconds or whatever it was of that fight.
Yeah.
But I was just flicking there because I thought this was the case. If we look at Leon's fights, he had the whole drama with Hamzat, with the fight being on, the fight was off, the fight was on, the fight was off. One had COVID, then the other had COVID, then the other had COVID again. Then he got in there in 2000. So that was, he last fought 2019 in July against RDA. Then he had the second round eye poke. Was the next time we saw him after all the Hamzat stuff with Bilal. So never really got to get into an actual fight. And then it was Nate Diaz. So I think there was an element of Leon had just been out. He was pissed off. He was fed up. He was on a winning streak. And then he got the big fights and then they went away. And I just think there was an element of inactivity that caught up with him in the Nate Diaz fight. Other than that, I don't think we've seen him go almost 10 rounds with Kamaru Usman. And I don't think Colby's going to make him fight at any higher pace than that, really. Probably equal to, but
I do think versus Diaz, Edwards got a little bored in the fight after dominating for 23 minutes, 24 minutes, and he's slapping him around. He was piecing him up. Diaz looked like he was bleeding everywhere from his face. He did some judo throws, some nice trips, and he just took out everything from his arsenal. I think just got bored by the end of it and just got caught a little bit. But I definitely think this will not happen versus Colby in a 5-round main event fight for defending his championship. Yeah, I do like what you said about Edwards. He just needed a fight, so they just threw him Diaz after that long winning streak. To him, I feel like it was just a tune-in versus Diaz. They got him to sharpen his skills to be back in the octagon, feel how it is to fight versus a man trying to kill you versus you trying to kill somebody else. Very unfortunate versus Mohammed that I poked him in the second round. But he was piecing up Bilal. You did see a little bit of a level difference between Edwards and Mohammed. And should the fight continue on, I don't think it would have went any different from the first round.
No.
Maybe Bilal would have got a few takedowns, maybe 1 or 2 in the later rounds. But like we said, Edwards is a good takedown defense. He could wrestle. He's been at AKA with the DC and the boys a few years ago. He's training wrestling back in the UK. He's talked about it in the countdown episode versus when he faced Usman the third time. So I just think it was lack of competition versus Diaz, and now he's starting to get it back again, being active again. He hasn't, like you said, 2020 has just been bad luck. Fights booked, canceled. Supposed to main event at the O2 Arena versus Woodley, and just bad luck. But I think beating Usman back to back should prove everybody he's the top of the list.
I actually think this narrative that Leon's not necessarily a big hitter is probably a false narrative too. Yeah. I know it's based on facts of him not getting too many people out of there and going to points like you mentioned earlier on, John. He's had a lot of points decision wins, but I feel like that was very much safety first on this winning run. And I think what's happened is you've seen Leon have such a crazy run and rise to the top and not get his shot, and then have these issues and stumble back, and then finally gets the shot, takes it with both hands, knocks out Kamaru Usman, which none of us saw coming, let's be honest. Even if you thought Leon was going to beat him, we didn't see the knockout coming. But then beats him again. And I think it's a confidence thing for Leon. And I think it's just, not that he wasn't confident before, but I feel like now that he's the champion, he's knocked out Kamaru Usman when he's backwards against the ropes. Then he's taken him and he's beat him decisively over a points decision. I feel like his confidence couldn't be any higher. And I think the fact that he thinks he's going to run through Colby is exactly why he will.
He doesn't have to prove it to everybody else now. He believed in it. Now everybody sees, okay, you are legit. You came back with Usman. You did what you had to do to win that with a beautiful head kick. And then you defend the belt. And you did look dominant. You didn't look like Usman had a one step forward or one step ahead of you.
Yeah, totally. I think Leon, in that in that third fight, he turned up in every single domain. Absolutely turned up in every single domain. I mean, like I said, I watched it, hit him with his knee coming out of the clinch that rocked Usman. I don't
The
actually even
elbow.
remember. I didn't. I think this is really, really intriguing. I mean, final thoughts from all of us, kind of prediction. I'm like, I'm struggling for a reason because usually when something seems too simple in MMA, it often goes the other way, right? And I thought the same with when we were talking about Tom Atton, and I was really worried about that fight, right? And I was kind of like overthinking, and I feel like the same with this one. My heart is definitely saying Leon, hopefully by knockout, but probably by decision, and I think that's what I'm going to stick with. I think he's going to win the first three, and I think Colby will come back at him in the last two. But Colby is not, famous last word, Colby has not got it in him to finish Leon, which is what I think he'll have to do to win this fight. So for me, Leon, decision. Nathan, are you sticking to that fourth round KO that you said?
I am, yeah. I'm so confident in it, mate. Honestly, I am. I just the way I see this fight going, Colby's going to shoot. He's going to try and wrestle, but I wouldn't be surprised if Leon takes him out in the first. I really wouldn't, because I think if Colby tries to stand with him and fights at distance, Colby needs to be right in his face. He needs to make it an ugly fight. Because if he stands at range against Leon, Leon will pick him off. That will happen. He will sniper him, and Colby won't. We'll see. He might not go out because I don't think Leon necessarily has that kind of power. But I think we might see something where a referee jumps in and stops a fight. I do think it'll happen late. I think Colby will just try everything he's got in his arsenal, and I think he'll come to a point where his heart will just be broken. I really do think we'll see that. I think Leon's just going to piece him up, and this is where we'll see, do you know what, Colby's not actually on the same level.
John?
I'm gonna stick with my Leon Edwards by decision. But
Smart
I do
money.
I do like what you say about Colby having a heartbreak. I do think it's gonna be a clean decision for Edwards, and then Colby will disappear for a week and a half, and then he's gonna come out on the mic again and try to say something about this.
I mean, his only option, obviously, if he were to lose, would be BMF, right? That's the only option he's got to continue his career if he doesn't retire, right?
Well, no, I don't think so. Just because he's
No?
such a big draw. A is a big draw, and B, he's not a BMF, is he? Let's be honest. It doesn't qualify. He's not got the right criteria for that. He's just that's not what Colby is. But I think Colby's a draw regardless. And we've seen it. Lost to Kamaru Usman, went and beat Tyron Woodley, and got another title. Well, he got a title shot off beating Robbie Lawler. Lost to Kamaru Usman, beat Tyron Woodley, got a title shot, beat Masvidal, got a title shot. Yes, there's only so many times you can do that, but if he loses this to Leon Edwards and then comes back and beats Bilal, somebody of that ilk, Gilbert Burns or something like that, which I don't think he would beat Gilbert Burns if I'm honest. But that kind of fight, if he wins one of them, he's right back in the mix because he's Colby.
But I prefer that to happen because he hasn't beaten anybody.
That's what I mean.
Loses,
yeah,
if
that's
he
what we
loses
need to
and
see.
fights Gilbert, Bilal, Shafkat, Stephen Wonderboy, then you'd be like, okay, Leon just the next step ahead. But he's still gonna be a contender. Colby will still be a contender if he fights one of the guys I just mentioned and beats them.
Wonderboy's nearly 40, isn't he?
But he's still a top 5 in fighting Shafkat.
Yeah, but that's the one that Colby would go for next, probably, because he knows he can wrestle.
He can wrestle him.
It's an easier matchup. I mean,
so he's 40.
You only have to draw parallels really with Max Holloway, but we won't. We can continue down his rabbit hole. We'll save it for the review show when Colby picks up his decision KO, whatever it is, he does. Let's go to the co-main event. I mean, the flyweight title. Yeah. It's the first fight in how long to not feature either Brandon Moreno or Davison Figueiredo. It is Alexandre Pantoja against Brandon Royval. I'm pretty excited for this one. I think this will be a really, really fun fight. I think Pantoja's level to him. I don't know how close Royval is to him, but I think this will be a fun fight. John, what are your immediate thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun fight. Finally, it's not Figgy or Moreno in it, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Pantoja, I agree with you. I do think he's a level above. in terms of submissions, he definitely has a grappling advantage. You could see what he did with a 5-round fight versus Moreno, back and forth. For me, was one of the fight of the year contenders. He could take a hit, could throw a punch because he did have Moreno hurt. Royval, he's a bit like back and forth, right? He has some exciting fights, but he doesn't have a clear like winning streak momentum to go into this fight, I would say. He had this exciting fight versus Kai Kara France, then goes on to lose 2 in a row. Then he beats his last opponent, his last 2 opponents. Sorry, he's a 3-fight winning streak. So fought Bontarine, split decision. I don't know who Bontarine is. Matt Schnell, and Matt Schnell, who was supposed to beat, like good win. And then Matis Nicolo, who was in the top 10 flyweight for as long as I've been watching UFC. Got a decisive win versus him. So it's good on him, but I don't know if he has the chops to fight against Pantoja.
I think the fact that it was only a few fights ago that we actually saw these two go at it, and we saw the outcome, which was that Pantoja beat Royval. But when we look back and we go, since coming into the UFC, Brandon Royval has submitted Tim Elliott, right? Which only the top guys are doing that. Beat Kai Kara France by submission. And we all know how highly Kai Kara France is thought of in this division. Lost by a KO to Brandon Moreno, which no shame in that.
Well, a flyweight as well.
Lost to Pantoja, 2nd round submission. And then, like you said, beat Bontarine, beat Schnell, who's no mug, and Mateus Nicolau, who is as good as anybody in that division as well. So I think it's an intriguing matchup, and I think that Royval is a top contender. I just believe that exactly the same as what you guys have just said. I just think Pantoja's on a different level. I just see him being too good. I mean, my official prediction again, I'm going round 4 submission. I think he'll have to work a little harder for this one, but I do think he gets Royval out of there. But it is nice to see a fight, that doesn't involve Moreno and Figueiredo for the belt. I like to see divisions that keep moving and there's something different going off. It's, you want to see Brandon Moreno go out, fight somebody else, and then come back into the title picture. That's what you want to see, and he'll be back there.
Moreno is weighing as a backup, so if anything, hopefully everything goes all right for the 2 weigh-ins for the main co-main. If not, we might see Moreno for a 17th time at the flyweight.
Give the guy the next shot. Give him the next shot. He's weighing in. Give him the next shot, boys. No, I mean, I see it similar to you guys. Like, honestly, I think Pantoja will run through him. Like, I think he's got the levels on every facet of MMA. Royval's dropped losses. He's dropped losses to Pantoja before as well, and I just think he's just improved so much. I mean, to go out and beat, this version of Brandon Moreno, people aren't doing that unless they're named Davis and Figueiredo and they have a bit of luck on their side. Those fights were close as hell. That Brandon Pantoja fight, I'd have to go back and watch it, but as I remember, my immediate thing was that Brandon won it. Because it was a decision, right? Was it a split decision?
Yeah. It was a split decision. I agree with you.
So, for me, I think Brandon won it, and I think those two quite, unless Brandon has a pretty big drop off, but he's still young. There's no reason why that should happen. I very much see him as the contender in that division, unless Mo Mokayev can really up his level. It's quite interesting since I was just thinking as you guys were chatting away there. It's like similar division to light heavyweight since John Jones left. Since Demetrius Johnson has left this division, it's been a bit of a hot potato. You've kind of had Cejudo, you had TJ come down, and then you've obviously had the Figueiredo Moreno swap in, and now you've got Pantoja in there. So yeah, I mean, could a Royval upset be on the cards? Absolutely. I mean, we've seen things like this happen in the UFC before. You need to look at the likes of like Namajunas and Jacek, right? A fight like that where there wasn't too much chance. Leon and Usman the first fight. So could it happen? Maybe. My prediction will just be even 1st or 2nd round sub, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a 2nd round last time out, but I just think I mean, Roy Val's got a shot here. Of course he has, and he's going to try and make the most of that. I just feel like Pantoja's really in his element right now. I think this is the best version of him that we're going to see. You know, like you said, to beat the version of Brandon Moreno that he did. And I did think he nicked it. I thought he just stole it, Pantoja. But it was a hell of a fight, and I just think, you know, that this could be a little reign that he has here. You know, because I mean, he's Moreno's bogeyman anyway, so Moreno was going to be probably next in line for a shot regardless. But even if he gets it, it's going to be, you know, there's no guarantee that Brandon Moreno reclaims a gold.
I blame Demetrius Johnson for this because we're so used to such a dominant champion who, you know, he's gonna fight, he's gonna win, and it took until the rematch versus Cejudo in a split decision for him to lose. So the belt since then, the belt has been bouncing around everywhere, starting with Figgy, Moreno, and now Pantoja. So sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, John. Go on.
Yeah, I was just blaming him. So it is nice to see new contenders to fight. Especially Roy Val just got into UFC. I believe in 2020 during the pandemic, he started versus Tim Elliott in the either in the Apex or on Fight Island. So it is nice to see him get a title shot, but again, I think losing twice back to back to Moreno and Pantoja, two previous champions, I cannot see him get the victory here. And I think Pantoja got it done in the second round last fight. I think he's gonna get it done in the third round this time by submission as well.
Yeah, what I was going to say was it's nice just to see so many top contenders though in this division. You know, we were talking about this division ceasing to exist, weren't we? And I think it's, you know, when you look at it now and you've got, like you said, Figueiredo's left, but you've got Pantoja, you've got Roy Val, you've got Moreno, I mean, really, you've got Moreno, Pantoja, and then you've got your second tier. And your second tier is your Kai Kara France, your Brandon Royvals, your Manel Caps, your Mo Mokayevs, those kind of guys that are going to get bunched into that all together and vie for a shot. But I just do feel like in this division at the minute, you've got Moreno, and you probably the same as what the welterweights kind of have been for a while. You know, you had Kamaru Usman and probably Leon, but you know what I mean? I just think it's a little bit like that. I think you've got the top two guys, and the next tier below are going to have to kind of fight it out a little bit. But you never know. It's going to be a fun scrap because the styles are going to make it an interesting one. But I have got Pantoja.
Yeah, I think what's really cool is to see an active division. I mean, we saw this belt defended and obviously changed in July. It feels like since, you know, Cejudo's left, it's been going. You know, these Figueiredo and Moreno fights have been kind of back to back, pretty quick succession. I think we've had at least two title fights in the flyweight division every year for the past couple of years, which is really good. We don't see it in every division. So from that, we bounce back up to the welterweight. Have a look at a couple of contenders there. So, gents, Shavkat Rakhmonov and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We kind of alluded a little bit to Shavkat earlier on, and Wonderboy as well when we were talking about Colby and Leon. But where are we standing on this fight? I mean, is it one like Shavkat guaranteed? I mean, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm huge on Shavkat, so.
Right, that's it. We're done, boys. Next fight.
Yeah.
No, I'm a massive fan of Stephen Thompson, but like I said, the guy's nearly 40 years of age, has struggled with people who can wrestle, and without being funny, Shavkat is just this new breed of fighter that's coming through. He can do it all. I mean, Wonderboy, for all his skill, doesn't necessarily have what you need, in my opinion, to get through to someone like Rakhmonov, which is that killer power that makes him just question what he's doing. And Wonderboy might be versatile and can strike in every kind of way, but he's not going to knock you out with one punch. And I just struggle to see how he deters Rakhmonov from just having his own way with him. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a world where Shavkat freezes on the big stage. There's a world where Shavkat tries to play Stephen Thompson's game and beat him at that, which I don't think would be a clever idea. But I also just don't think Wonderboy's got enough left in the locker now. I think it's just strange to me, if I'm being completely honest, that he's taken this fight, because all he's been saying is that this is the kind of fight that he doesn't want to have anymore. He wants to fight strikers, and Shavkat will strike, but if it looks like there's an easier way to victory, and that's by dragging Thompson down to the mat, then that's what he's going to do, and Wonderboy's going to have to figure that out. It's not the kind of fight I was looking to see Wonderboy in, if I'm honest. I'm a bit, as a Wonderboy fan, I'm not particularly looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Shavkat has a simple game plan, and it's just got to take Wonderboy to the ground. As you see, the path to victory when Steve Wonderboy fought Bilal and Gilbert, both took him down and just try to do damage there, because we all know Wonderboy is dangerous on the feet. There's no secret there. He's a karate master. Shavkat, what's so nice about him, it's 17 wins and just straight all finishes, and the finishes are split down the middle: 9 victories by submissions and 8 by knockout. So he knows how to do it all. He knows how to strike. He knows how to grapple. And the only thing I'll disagree with you, Nathan, is you did say in the world Shavkat could freeze, but we did see Shavkat go through adversity versus a Jeff Neal fight, where he definitely he looked like he got rocked a few times with the hands of steel, but he came back and he got the finish. He's like, screw this, I'm gonna keep my record intact, not let it go to the judges, and pull off a nasty neck crank / standing guillotine, whatever you call it, a rear naked choke, and pulled it off. So Shavkat knows how to fight. We've seen him through adversity on a pay-per-view in January.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the adversity for me, it was more the mental freezing, insofar as being on a massive pay-per-view that's littered with talent, where the next match, we might not know what they are, but the next matchups are probably already lined up in the division. These guys are all fighting on the same card: Luke, Gary, Shavkat, Wonderboy, Edwards, Covington. There's so many on there. That's going to be a bit of a round robin almost in there, in some form or way. And I just, whether he's experienced enough on the big stage like this, we've seen it. He could have all the skill, all the talent, all the heart in the world, but he's in there with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who is undoubtedly the biggest name he's been in with to date. So that was kind of the thing. I don't think that's going to happen. I've not seen anything from Shavkat to make me suggest that that's going to happen. I'm just saying there is a world, obviously, where fighting Wonderboy and that moment could maybe get to him.
Would you say it's a harder or easier challenge versus the last 2 fights with Jeff Neal and Neil Magny?
I think it's a harder one than. I think it's harder than Magny, but I think it's probably an easier fight than Jeff Neal, stylistically, because Jeff Neal's just got that power.
And it's a little bit trickier, right? Because of the stance. But if we saw what he did versus Jeff Neal, I say Shavkat has got this. Maybe not as easy. Maybe we could see his first win not by finish, but I still think Shavkat is, like we mentioned earlier, a different breed of fighter that's coming in, and now he's just ranked outside top 6, or he's ranked in at number 5, and he's so close on the same card as Edwards and Covington, which could be a round robin, could also be a spring for him to go to the title shot.
I mean, just for a little bit of fun, do you think Shavkat would beat Darren Till?
I believe so.
Do you think he would beat Anthony Pettis?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Do you think he would beat Vicente Luque?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think he would beat Gilbert Burns?
I think so. Close fight, but he would.
Depends what Gilbert turns up.
Do you think he would beat Bilal Muhammad?
Fucking
Yeah.
easy, yeah.
I think too easy.
You even got me to swear. You got me to swear on a
Yeah.
podcast. That's all it took. Was mentioning Bilal
And
Muhammad.
do you know what they've all got in common? They've all
beat
beaten
Wonder
Stephen
Boy.
Wonderboy Thompson.
But
So-
how they beat Wonder Boy? That's the
Yeah,
question, right?
and we know MMA maths doesn't work like this, but at the same time, it kind of does. It
Yeah.
just, the problem is with Shavkat, we have seen him in there, obviously, with Magny, we've seen him in there with Neil. It's not like Colby where you can almost say, we've not really,
Who is he for? Uh-huh.
who's he fought? He has fought a couple of guys, and he's fought a couple of good guys, and he's won quite comfortably. So, yeah, I don't see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson coming out victorious here. In fact, I think he'll be stopped, probably submitted. I'm going to say, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it early, round 1, round 2, probably
Yeah,
2.
I'm gonna quote a very wise and knowledgeable MMA fan and say Shavkat Rakhmonov by absolute destruction. But that wise man is Nathan Shields, of course, from our Armin Zarukian podcast a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You can't not love him. You see him on the embeddeds driving the bus and taking all his kids on there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like, it's just, oh my God, I wish he was like my uncle or something like that, my cool karate uncle, picking the kids up.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, we're taking the kids over here. But he is going to get absolutely schooled. Like, honestly, I cannot love the guy, love his style. Hope he fights on. Would love to see him in some legend fights like that Kevin Holland fight. Perfect, wonderful. But
That's exactly what I was just going to say. The Kevin Holland fight is the kind of fights you want to see him in. Just stylistically, not favorable matchups, but not favorable for his opponent.
yeah,
I just want to see him in with strikers. Wonderboy can still compete in a striking match against anybody. It's just you put him in with somebody well-rounded like Shavkat that can go to the grappling exchanges. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think the only way I can see Wonderboy getting this at all is by hurting Shavkat early and making him cautious. But I think if that does happen, I think Shavkat's just going to go for him even more. So my prediction is going to be, and John, you can jump in next with your prediction. My prediction is going to be Shavkat, like I said, by absolute destruction. Round 1, whatever way you like. Round 1 finish, like you said. I couldn't believe that when you read that out, John, and that's why I was kind of laughing while you said it. I was like, that is a ridiculous record to have at his age as well, and in this division and fighting the people he's fought to finish everybody. Unbelievable. He's getting another one on Saturday night. John, what do you think?
Yeah.
So you have Taylor first round submission, Nathan's second round submission.
First round by anything. By anything.
Okay, I have a third round submission. I think he's gonna take him
Third.
down. Yeah,
Third
yeah.
round submission.
I think Shavkat will play with him a little bit. I think he's gonna challenge him on the feet. I think he wants to make a little bit of a statement saying like, "Hey,
Okay.
I'm also a good striker as well. Don't forget that I can strike a Wonder Boy."
Yeah.
And
I'm going. Go on. Sorry.
and he'll get it done in the third. He'll be like, "Well, you saw what I can do. Now I'm gonna take him down, submit this man."
I think it will be the second round for the complete contrast in reason. I think that he'll be massively respectful of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and sort of the threat he presents. And I think the first round he'll spend the majority of it just kind of figuring him out, taking a look, seeing what there is, downloading the data if you like, and then I think he explodes in the second round and gets it done. But I do think first round he will be a little bit cautious because let's be honest, there's nobody who moves like Wonderboy, not really. So it is something different if you've not been in there with it before. So, and that's that fight.
So
We roll down to the next one. There's plenty to talk about, isn't there?
Let's see if this one finally splits the pair of the three of us up, right? I mean, we're all more or less on the same page. It is Tony Ferguson versus Paddy the Baddy Pimlet in the lightweight division. Obviously, Tony no longer ranked. Paddy coming back after his injury, almost exactly a year since the Gordon fight that kind of saw him flip heel in a very WWE style. Yeah, I've written the piece for this. Actually, it'll be out after we finished recording, so Wednesday night. I'll be straight out there. I'm going to do a Nathan and kind of put my opinion straight out there. Look, I do not see a world where Tony Ferguson beats Paddy Pimlet. Simple as that. There is no evidence in the recent past that Tony Ferguson can beat Paddy Pimlet.
Did knock down Michael Chandler.
Did he win the fight? No, he got battered.
Nope,
right?
got his face kicked off.
He got his face kicked off. Yeah, I mean, my justification for that is Paddy Pimblett thrives in the chaos on the ground, whether he gets knocked down or he knocks his opponent down. And I think if Tony's getting submitted by Bobby Green, Paddy Pimblett is submitting Tony Ferguson on the ground. I can't see it any other way. Like MMA math, yeah, it doesn't work, but you can look at the levels. I just don't see how it goes any other way. I'm seeing a lot of, and I have to apologize to my mate Vince, Swedish Vince. He's going to be really angry at me because he loves Tony, but I don't see how Tony turns this around. Like, yeah, Paddy can get hit, but he doesn't. What is it he says? Counselors don't get knocked out.
Counselors don't get knocked out.
I don't see it. I just honestly don't see it. I think when it'll go to the ground, that's where Paddy thrives. He thrives in that chaos. Tony's just, 39 years old. He's just been off Hell Week with David Goggins, so he's absolutely knackered. He's just not going to be able to keep up with him on the ground. Bish, bash, bosh. I'm done. Over to you guys. Tell me I'm wrong.
John.
I think the problem here is Tony, yeah, he's been losing, but he's losing by finishes. Getting knocked out by Chandler, getting submitted by Bobby Green, getting submitted by Nate Diaz. It sticks with you, I think, especially after going on a 12-fight win streak. And now you couldn't beat top contenders. You can't beat low contenders. And can't beat Diaz at a welterweight fight. I think, like everybody's been saying as well, it's a lose-lose situation for Paddy. Because, yeah, you beat Tony, but look, Tony's 39. He hasn't won. And since his fight versus Gaethje, so going on almost 5 years now, 4.5.
2019 was his last win. Donald Cerrone by doctor stoppage.
And since then, has been stopped every single time, except for Oliveira, oddly enough, who has the most finishes in the UFC. So it is like I see, like you guys see, Paddy has really good groundwork. I think he has to redeem himself from his fight versus Flash Gordon. So Paddy's he wants to make a statement. He'd be like, look, I should never be in the cage with Tony for longer than a minute. Past the first round, be like, we're at different levels. I shouldn't be fighting someone who's on the tail of his career. I should be fighting someone who's close to top 15 and getting into that rankings.
What's your official pick then, John?
Paddy first round submission. I'll go bold here. Although Paddy, like, to me, he hasn't impressed me very much because of his last fight. You only as good as your last fight, as people say. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember from him. If you couldn't finish Gordon. He did say he was injured in the first round there, but you gotta make a statement with Tony. You're on a pay-per-view card at the end of the year. You're a big name in the UK. You have a catchy walkout song.
Yeah,
you gotta make a statement.
Yeah. So you're right, both of you, in what you're saying. What I will say is this: Tony Ferguson has lost so many fights of late, and he has lost in devastating fashion in a lot of them. But he lost to Bobby Green, Nate Diaz, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Justin Gaethje. To work that back, even from there, you've got the number 13 ranked lightweight in the world, Nate Diaz. You've got the number 4, Michael Chandler, 5 Chandler, isn't he? Oh, yeah. You've got Chandler at 5. You've got Dariush, up until a couple of weeks ago, was 4. You got Oliveira, 1. Gaethje, 2. He's just been in there with a much, much better level of opponent than Paddy ever has. You know, Paddy's been to life and death with frigging Jared Gordon, and with all due respect to Jared Gordon isn't any of those names. Mm-hmm. You know, he's an unranked fighter. He's not a Justin Gaethje. He's not a Charles Oliveira, and I think having that experience counts for something. You know, going in there with all those guys. I can't do it any longer. I've got Paddy by first round sub. No, I honestly look. I honestly have the. In all seriousness, yes, Paddy struggled, but from Paddy's side, Tony's shot to bits. With all due respect, this isn't this isn't that Tony Ferguson, the one that we all remember, the one that you think about when you hear the name. That's not the Tony Ferguson that steps in the octagon anymore. That guy's gone. He's never coming back. Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, is a young kid with bags of potential, bags of talent, bags of mistakes. So he's there to be clipped. But, Tony's not a massive one-punch knockout guy either. Like you said, Taylor, Paddy's exceptionally fast on the ground. He can throw submissions up from anywhere, a bit like a prime Tony Ferguson. But Tony's not that guy. Tony doesn't move like that. He can't move at that pace. And I don't care if he's been living in David Goggins' arsehole for the last 6 weeks. It makes no difference. Once you reach a certain stage of life, that's it. You can't be that guy now. So I think Paddy's pissed off. I think he's out. Out there to. I think Paddy's pissed off because obviously from Paddy's side, he's had a lot of fire, hasn't he, from a lot of people following the Jared Gordon thing. And, since then he has come out and said he felt the fight was a lot closer than it was. But I think from Paddy's side of it, if you ask a fighter that's been in a close fight whether they think they won or not, he's going to say yes. In the immediate aftermath, he's going to say yes. I think Paddy's problem is that after things died down, he was still kind of saying it, and he was taking digs at and shots at people that were saying that they thought he'd lost. And in all reality, but I think all that's done. He obviously was injured because he's been away. He's had surgery. It was obviously something severe because he had a long time out recovering. And I just think he's pissed off. Paddy had the thing with Ilia Topuria, right? And I think we all knew the difference in level that they were on. But you look at Topuria now about to challenge the pound for pound number 2 or 3, whatever Volk's dropped to now in the world. And Paddy's fighting, the shedded skin of Tony Ferguson. So I do think Paddy's going to make a real statement. I think he'll probably hurt Tony on the feet. I think he'll drop him. I think he'll chase him down. I think he'll submit him real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a hat trick. I finally composed myself after that David Goggins comment. My word, wherever you bought that from. I think as well. We haven't been split on this one. First round submission, Paddy Pimblett, I think is going to look nasty for Tony Ferguson, and hopefully he hangs up the gloves after this one. We don't. No one needs to see that. So I'm sure this guy's been up someone's arsehole. We're not sure who, but Ian Gary and.
You were the one that said, let's keep this professional.
Let's not get into the gossip.
You're not go there.
Had to. So, where are we landing on this one, gents? I mean, all the factors considered, how is it going to impact on his fighting come Saturday night? I've never seen a downfall so quick as Ian Gary. I'm not going to lie. It's been pretty drastic without even fighting.
Here's what I'll say. I say Ian Gary, he's still a badass fighter in the cage. What he has to do is not bring that noise outside with everything, what's happening, with his stories of getting knocked out, with his wife, at the press conference with Colby. He has to not bring that into the octagon when he faces Vicente Luque, because I think Vicente is his most dangerous opponent as of yet. Vicente is probably one of the most well-rounded welterweights in terms of black belt jiu-jitsu, amazing striking, has some knockout power as well, been known to knock out people in the past. But Luque has also been like up and down. He loses to Muhammad, but then goes on to win, loses to RDA. So he wants to get a streak going, and there's no better streak going than an undefeated Irish fighter like Ian Gary. So that's my point for Ian Gary. Just not to get distractions outside of the octagon, is not to bring it outside the octagon, not to bring it inside the octagon, and then for him to make a statement and then go on the mic and be like, "Shut up, everybody." They'll be really great for him. That's my take for Ian Gary's mental state.
Interesting. I don't think, I'm trying to think now, is this, obviously there's spotlight on fighters. There's another obviously Irish fighter that gets a lot of spotlight, right? But have we ever seen anything like this and how it's actually impacted on a fighter? Like this is, for me anyway, I think it's pretty unprecedented. Like I can't open my social media or even a couple of WhatsApp groups without seeing more and more and more and more of it. And I just think the dude's a phenomenal fighter, and since he stepped foot in the UFC, he hasn't really looked vulnerable, so to speak. He's looked great on his feet. His takedown defense has also looked pretty good, but he just looked to be in control, calm, relaxed, picks his shots. He's almost a bit of a sniper with that kind of long range that he's got, both his legs and his arms. And you just think this match was already tough enough. And now you bring all of this into it. You've got blooming Sean Strickland coming after you. I mean, he goes after everybody, but like I don't know how it's gonna impact him. Nathan, what are your thoughts on it, mate? You said you got a surprising opinion. We're about to hear it.
Yeah, I think the opposite. I think Ian Gary is a very, very intelligent man. And I think that he understands this game, and he's shown that since day one. I think there's naturally a group of people out there that will say, oh, he's just trying to copy Conor McGregor. He's fucking Irish. He's not trying to copy Conor. He's just Irish. He talks the same. He has the same crack. He has the same whatever, because the Irish people are a certain way. And the Ian Gary is that. The same as Conor was that. The same as so many other Irish fighters are. But even just people are. Normal people in a pub will have the same sort of crack as what Ian Gary has. I actually think that none of this is going to bother him whatsoever. I don't believe he fears for his wife and his children and his baby, and I don't think he fears X, Y, and Z. I don't think he's got any concerns about anything. I don't think the whole incident with Leon and being not allowed to go back to Renegade or any of that, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really don't think he cares. I think he's just playing a game. There's certain things come out, yeah, people say this, people talk shit. He doesn't care. Do you think if he was really bothered about stuff like that, he'd have had the T-shirt with the mugshot on? Do you think he would have worn that? He's not bothered. I guarantee you now, Ian Gary will not give a shit. He'll be there throughout fight week. He's probably going to get into it with Colby. He's probably going to get into it a little bit with Leon. But let's be honest, this is a Colby Covington headline event littered with talent, and who is everybody talking about? Rightly or wrongly, for whatever reasons, everybody's talking about Ian Gary. The whole Leon Edwards thing that popped up, where did that come from? Well, we don't know. But
Paddy.
Ian Gary created a narrative with the champion of the division. There's a story there. There's the issue there. You plonk something right in the middle of it and watch it explode. And if he comes through Luke A here, he's right there. He's right there.
Actually, if you're Leon Edwards, like you're laughing all the way to the bank, aren't you? With these three, with Colby, Paddy, and Ian on the card, you're getting those pay-per-view points. You are laughing all the way to the bank. But you're totally right. You're totally right, mate. Go on, carry on, mate. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like when we talk about it as well, in all seriousness, like there's a lot of jokes we can make, but there's a good chance Ian Gary's if he wins this fight, becomes fighter of the year. People will think that's a little bit drastic or a little bit whatever else, but he will have fought 4 times in 2023. He beat Song Kaunan, knocked out Daniel Rodriguez, beat the life out of Neil Magny. And then if he goes out there and beats Vicente Luque as well, and those 4 wins are all inside the same calendar year, that's a fucking good year. That's a serious year to announce yourself and put yourself there. So he's right up there. I don't buy into it that any of this is a problem. I think the only real problem that Ian Gary has this week is Vicente Luque. Because, like John mentioned there, I think stylistically, Luque can be a nightmare for him. We've seen Luque get clipped. We've seen him get knocked out. We've seen him knock people out. But I'm not sure we're looking at the same Vicente Luque, because I watched that fight with RDA, and obviously he had the bleed on the brain and everything, didn't he? He had to have the timeout and the medical suspension and X, Y, and Z. And I think Vicente Luque, to me, in that fight, looked a little cautious. He didn't really want to get into the exchanges on the feet with RDA. He wanted to avoid that at all costs. He made it grappling heavy, but it was a bit of a dull, boring fight. And this has all the potential to do the same thing. I think Ian Gary wins this, and I think he wins it on points. But I don't see Luque engaging on the feet. I just don't see it. I think if he does, we're in for an absolute barn burner of a fight. But it might be I might get this completely wrong. It has all the potential in the world to go the opposite way, because what you might see from Luque is, okay, I've had the bleed on the brain. I came back. I was a little hesitant because it was my first fight back, but I got through it. I was fine. There was no issues, and I'm good to go again now. And then you might see him throw a bit of caution to the wind. But this is a real interesting knock. I'm really excited about this one.
I just don't think going into other Ian Gary fights, there was such a big narrative about him like this. It just could cause a little bit of a distraction, as long as he doesn't have that distraction going into the cage. So I'm trying to say.
I think the thing is with Ian Gary, though, you could say there's a similar thing with Colby. Some guys just live in the chaos. They thrive in the chaos. You look at Conor and you look at some of these guys that have been at the very, very top of this sport, some of the biggest, most controversial names, your Jon Jones, for example. You know, he's hardly the patron saint of whatever is he. He's a fucking lunatic that can't go to Vegas without snorting cocaine and getting into fucking driving accidents. It's, you know, Jon Jones is that same kind of character. He thrives in the moment. And Ian Gary has come into this, and that early doors, I got the suspicion that Ian Gary was trying to play the good guy. He was trying to be a fan favorite. He needs to turn heel for me. I think he'll be far more successful as the heel, because I think he's already halfway there, and he may as well just embrace it and go that way.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I definitely think there's, you could definitely turn it around and paint that picture, right? Definitely turn it around and paint that picture. It's all semi-orchestrated to a degree. He kind of knows what he's doing. It's really interesting, the gym stuff as well. There's obviously, but then again, is that also a sign that he's a threat? A sign that people are worried about him? I mean, let's go to our predictions, and then talk a little bit before we go to the prelims. Talk a little bit about the welterweight division, because we've got 3 welterweight fights on this card, and how they play out might define the division. So I'm gonna go round 3 stoppage for Ian Gary. I don't think it's going to be a clean KO. I think it's going to be a culmination of punches. I think he's just going to keep. I think Vicente Luque keeps very tight. I think he's going to make it easy for Gary to establish his kicks and his jabs and things like that. So yeah, I think Gary by punches in round 3. John, what are you saying for this one?
It'll just be a little bit different for me. I got a round 2 finish by Gary. I think, like you said, Luque has a high guard, wants to keep up the pressure, but I think Gary has nice body shots, kicks that would land and just slowly break down Luque.
Nathan, you're gonna make another hat trick.
Yeah, I've got an Ian Gary points win. I think Luque's. I just feel like I saw something in that RDA fight that shows me that Luque is a little bit more cautious about being hurt from shots to the head, and I think that is going to make his defense higher. I think he'll make it more grappling heavy. But I think Ian Gary comes through it. I think he probably still wins this relatively convincingly. But I mean, I was just looking at the rankings there. Ian Gary's currently sat 10. Luque's at 9. Stephen Thompson's at 6. Shavkat's at 5. Colby's at 3. And Kamaru Usman is obviously there at 1. Yeah. Before you've got the champ, Leon Edwards. So there's not actually probably going to be that much movement, because you're going to get, if Ian Gary beats Luque, they just swap places 9 and 10 to 10 and 9. If you get Stephen Thompson and Shavkat, if Shavkat beats Stephen Thompson, they don't move. If Wonderboy beats Shavkat, then he moves up 1. The only move you'll see is if Colby were to win, but not too much changes in that picture, and that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier with Colby. Regardless, even if Colby loses this weekend, you're still probably going to end up with Leon as a champ, Kamaru Usman, Bilal Muhammad, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, Shavkat Rakhmonov. It's not You know what I mean? It's not. I just wish that we'd got Stephen Thompson and Ian Gary. That for me would be a better fight.
That'd be a fun fight. Yeah. I think if Shavkat wins, depending on the method, I think you could jump Colby in the rankings, because I think the way I see it, and I see it pretty logically, is that literally going down that card, it's title contender if Shavkat wins. So I don't think if Stephen wins, he's going to get the number one contender, and then kind of the next fight, getting Bilal out of the picture. Honestly, I don't know if he's going to get a title fight. He might just be sitting there like Leon did for years and just not get one. That's how I see it, and I think they're setting up Shavkat and Leon, because I think if Shavkat beats Stephen Thompson in the way we've all kind of predicted, you can't deny him, right? I think Bilal was a bit easier to deny because of the manner of his finishes. I think Shavkat, you can't. I don't think you do Shavkat and Bilal. I don't think that does much, and then you kind of have Leon sitting around.
I'll tell you what. Do you want me to tell you what you do?
Go on.
You chuck Bilal in with Leon Edwards, the defending champion. Get Bilal's shot there and out the way. Let Leon piece him up again, and you put Kamaru Usman in against Shavkat Rakhmonov. If
Kamaru comes back down as well, is a question, right?
Well, it's not that he can't make the weight, is it? It's just that the Hamzat shot was there. That's all it was. You know, if he chooses to come back down, but like you said, if not, you've got Gilbert Burns sat at number 4. The thing is, this division have all been sat in position and none of them have been fighting each other. But if you look at this top 15, you've got Rinat Fakhretdinov, who's a fucking problem. You've got Michael Chiesa, who, with all due respect, if he's not retired already, probably is going that way. You've got Neil Magny, Kevin Holland, Jack Della Maddalena, Ian Gary, Vincente Luque, Jeff Neal, Sean Brady after that win over Kelvin Gastelum, which is huge, Stephen Thompson, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Bilal Muhammad, Kamaru Usman, and Leon Edwards. That division is littered with absolute killers. There's no reason it shouldn't be one of the most exciting weight classes in this division. And I think it's only, if I'm being completely honest, I think it's because the UFC just wanted Colby to get this shot. Yeah. You know, this should have been moving for a long period of time. You know, the Leon and Bilal could have gone at it ages ago, because we've not been waiting for Leon. We've been waiting for Colby after Jon assaulted him in that restaurant.
But it's the problem. Leon's beat him. Yeah, I poke, but he beat him from pillar to post. This is the issue. And Bilal's beating everybody else, right? It's a nightmare, actually, like, looking at it and going by what you were saying, Nathan. John, what do you reckon?
Well, see, I agree with Nathan. Like, the movements of the rankings won't change much. Other than Colby loses, I think he's definitely going to be ranked outside top 5. But that will give a chance for everybody to move up. So maybe not much movement, but with this does set up for future matchups. It works out that they're all on the same card, and that their medical suspensions, whatever will be around the same, will end around the same time. So they could be matched up again versus each other quickly. I would love to see like if Shavkat wins, definitely maybe a Shavkat Bilal, Ian Gary. If Stephen Wonderboy loses, a main event Wonderboy Gary. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. So it does, the rankings, like Dana likes to say as well, it doesn't matter, because the reporters, journalists vote for it, but he's still going to make the fight based off the rankings, and he'll still see Wonderboy at 6 coming off a loss, versus Gary, who is ranked in the top 10, I believe. What rank is he?
I mean, it's what you do with them, isn't it? Because there's so much that could be done to move this division round to make it a little bit sexier, because if you look at the names on there, Usman's a big draw. Bilal Muhammad, no one's really interested in watching. Colby's a big draw, but I think you're only interested in watching Colby now against somebody like a Gilbert Burns, where you maybe don't fancy him in the matchup. Do you know what I mean? But then you've got Shavkat, who was a killer, but, you know, just because he's from that sort of area of the world, he doesn't necessarily get the same credit or hype as somebody like an Ian Gary, for example. I think skill-wise, he certainly has, but just from a casual MMA audience, if you like, there's more people will know Ian Gary than Shavkat Rakhmonov already. Wonder Boy's kind of going to start slipping down. Sean Brady's back on the up. Jeff Neal, Luque, Gary's a big name. Madalena's a big name. Holland, Magny, those guys likely to slip a little bit. But there needs to be a big move, and I'd actually love it if the UFC did move the rankings, or whether the rankings did get moved around a little bit more than we'd expect.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Colby with a loss drops out. Maybe you do Gary Gilbert in Ireland next year. I mean, they've got to be lining Gary up for a main event in Ireland. If they're not, then they're losing out on a massive cash cow for there, really. And then it's just what you do with Shavkat. So interesting division. We're going to look down towards the prelims, gentlemen. So at the top of these prelims that we talked about, gents, we've got Bryce Mitchell stepping in short notice against Josh Emmett. This is a big one, isn't it, for Bryce?
Huge one for Bryce Mitchell, yeah. It's this could be the fight that we actually find out if Bryce Mitchell's really what we thought he was going to be or not. I think the Ilia Topuria one was a bit of a hiding for him, really, and maybe a little bit of a wake-up call for Bryce, and he's got a little bit more work to do. I thought last time out against Dan Ige, he was impressive. I thought he had a few little moments in there. My concern is that Josh Emmett can whack, and I'm not convinced that Bryce really likes that side of the game too much. Even in the Dan Ige fight, as impressive as he was once he was in control, he felt desperate to get the fight to the mat, like he's just not comfortable on the feet. And I think, if you get uncomfortable on the feet, you don't want to be stood in front of Josh Emmett.
Well, with Jesus by his side, I don't think there's any problem with that.
That's it.
I hope he brings that to every fight now. Brings a Bible out and scream out,
"That'd be amazing."
He's crazy.
It's
he's
absolutely
crazy.
It's fun to see. That's like what we like.
But look, he's stepping in late notice against the number 6, isn't he? So
yeah, but like Colby, I think he fights at his relatively natural weight class. He doesn't cut too much weight. Emmett is bloated. He's a big guy, so I feel like he cuts more weight. The bigger problem I see is for Josh Emmett adjusting from Giga, who's predominantly mostly striker, to Bryce Mitchell, who is thug nasty. He's on the ground. He's nasty. So, like versus Ige, he did try to force some stuff, but Ige is more well-rounded. Emmett's more of a power puncher, and he knows how to wrestle. And what was my point?
It's been a long podcast, mate. You're all right.
So I think it's more dangerous for Emmett because he has to do that adjustment on short notice. Mitchell has nothing to lose. He already has his undefeated streak broken by Topuria, so now he doesn't have to worry about that. He just has to not chase it as he was chasing versus Ige. Ige is more well-rounded than Emmett, so you'd have to worry about Emmett. That was my point. You have to worry about Emmett more of his power.
There's less things to worry about with Josh Emmett. You know what you're getting yourself in for, like you said. I think my biggest concern for Josh Emmett is that he's not ever going to be the same now, because that hiding he took from Topuria was something special, wasn't it? I mean, that was nasty. That was the beatdown of all beatdowns. So I don't, we were talking about Tony Ferguson earlier on and mentioning that Justin Gaethje fight. Tony's never been the same since the Gaethje fight, because Justin Gaethje just battered him from pillar to post, and this might be the same sort of thing. Maybe that's what Bryce is thinking coming into this late. It could be perfect timing. Okay, he's not going to beat the life out of Josh Emmett, but if Josh Emmett's confidence has to be low. It just has to be. You can't get battered that much by another man and not need to pick yourself up.
And also losing to Rodriguez. It's two. It's two on the bounce now. 2 finishes as well. And I think if you're stepping in on late notice, you want Bryce Mitchell's style. That's the style you want to have. Be able to make it a bit nastier, a bit grindier, especially against someone like. All the pieces are kind of together here for Mitchell, right? Emmett preparing for a kickboxer. Yeah, preparing for a kickboxer. Bryce is coming in as a wrestler. Josh is older as well, coming off 2 losses. All the pieces are there for Bryce Mitchell, and I think I think he'll take care of him first or second round maybe, and just do his Bible thing, maybe sit and pray with Josh. Who knows?
And he's doing a UC of a favor, kind of, right? He's stepping on short notice to fight Emmett, so he's saving the featured prelim, and he is ranked 6. He's ranked higher, just like how Smith did a short notice for Killer Roundtree, and now Roundtree's in the top 10. This brings Bryce Mitchell back closer to the top 5, and since he's doing a favor, UC could reward him with somebody in the top 5 to get in to crack in there, especially with an Ortega Rodriguez fight lining up. I wouldn't mind seeing an Ortega if he loses to Rodriguez. Ortega versus Bryce Mitchell. Both.
I mean,
I think they're talking about that Rodriguez fight for Mexico City, the Ortega.
Right. Yeah, and that's
Ortega Rodriguez. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I believe that's the main event, and they talked about Moreno versus Aziz in the co-main. So it kind of lines up. He's doing a UC a favor, and he gets a name on his record as well, a big time name. Everybody knows Josh Emmett. Emmett has been in the featherweight division for as long as I remember, and if he gets past him, it'll be good for Bryce. I can't see as this is a losing situation for Bryce.
No, I think, like you said, it's definitely a win-win for Bryce Mitchell. You know, you come in late, you fall short against Josh Emmett, the number 6 ranked featherweight in the world, and there's no shame in that. You come in and you beat him on short notice. You jump up 4 places in the rankings, and your stock's gone back through the roof because he's good fun. Everyone likes him. He's a crazy son of a bitch.
But, camo shorts, everything.
He's got the camo shorts. He's got the Bible. He's just as redneck as they come. He's just brilliant. But I just don't know what level Bryce Mitchell's at. I just don't know whether he can take that next step. I mean, you mentioned the likes of Brian Ortega earlier on. I mean, Brian Ortega is the Colby Covington of the featherweight division, isn't he? He's ranked 3 and he's done nothing. With all due respect, but I think does Bryce Mitchell beat Brian Ortega? I'm not sure he does. Does he beat?
But wouldn't you want to see that ground
Rodriguez? Game? Does he beat Max Holloway? Does he beat Ilia Topuria? We know that. Does he beat Volk? I feel like, I don't want to be negative here, but I feel like if Bryce Mitchell beats Josh Emmett, that's the highest ranked fighter he'll beat.
It could be, but you won't know once it happens. Who knows once he has slick submissions you could always pull off. If he gets into the top 5, he could always pull off a submission, pull off a win, do what he needs to do. He did say he was sick versus Topuria. I don't know how sick he was. So, that matchup. He was
sick after it, that's for sure.
Yeah. That matchup's on the table. So Topuria is fighting for the belt, wins. He, hey, just like how Cheeto would O'Malley, like, hey, I'll shut you up. Come fight for the belt. You might get a chance. You never know.
I think
he also cracked Barboza.
Yeah, so, don't get me wrong, I think Bryce Mitchell is exciting on the ground, and I think, like you said, this stylistically is a great matchup for him with Josh Emmett because he knows what to expect, and he's got if he can get the fight to the ground, he can dominate that all day. I was actually incredibly impressed with Dan Ige last time out because his defensive grappling was on point, and I think anybody else gets submitted by Bryce Mitchell in those positions. Mm-hmm. I thought Dan Ige was, despite losing the fight, I thought defensively he was incredible. Yeah, and Josh Emmett doesn't have that defense. He just doesn't have it.
Not in
the grappling. So
he got submitted by Yair Rodriguez, who is not completely unknown for his ground game.
No.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun one. I mean, any fight that Bryce Mitchell's involved in is a fun one. I mean, I'm kind of leaning to what Nathan was saying there. I think I can kind of see him becoming a bit like a Cowboy Cerrone. Super popular among the fans, really exciting fighter. He's going to be around for a while. He's going to win some, he's going to lose some, maybe to the better guys. And he'll come out with a decent record at the end of it, maybe even some UFC records for subs and stuff like that. But I think he'll fall short right at the highest level. I mean, you look at those guys and look at the guys coming through. I hope to God, like John, I hope to God you're And I hope to God, see
Hope to God.
he's in my head. That it goes that way, because he'd be exciting in a title fight. You know, it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, it will, and it's an interesting way to cap off these prelims. I'll kind of throw to each of you to kind of give your one or two picks for the ones to look out for, and the ones you're specifically looking to. And then we'll wrap this bad boy up for all the listeners who have been sticking with us for almost 2 hours. As
Go on,
Bradford
John,
would
who
say,
you?
God bless you. Go ahead.
What's
John.
the go-to for you on the prelims?
So I have
Prelims.
maybe something out of left field. There's this lone heavyweight fight, Martin Buday versus Shamil Gaziev. So Gaziev is like this Dagestani fighter at heavyweight. He loves wrestling, but his cardio caps at 150 seconds. So if you want to bet the under, for guys who are betting, that could be a good choice. I think it's an underrated fight, both coming off the Contender Series, I believe.
I think did Martin Buday have a fight just recently in the Apex? I feel like I've seen him not too long back.
Did he knock some?
He beat Josh Parisian.
But a Kimura. Impressive. Yeah. So via like both of them coming off the Contender Series, this is going to be Shamil's first fight, so he wants to definitely get in there. Also, Budaya has a win over Chris Barnett.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Love Chris Barnett.
Mm-hmm.
The other fight I'm looking forward to. She's kind of Brit. I have a little crush. Casey O'Neill. I have a little crush on her, so I'll be a little bit biased.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she had one minor setback where she lost to Maya in her last fight. Also on the Edwards card versus Usman 3. But she just came off, I think, breaking her ACL and having major surgery.
Yeah.
Could be a little step back. She looked phenomenal versus Roxanne Modafferi, breaking I think she broke the most women sniffing strikes, or was second behind JJ versus Zhang Weili fight, and that was 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a lot of potential. And Adriana Lipski's also she's a good fighter as well. She has a 2-fight win streak. She's a bit up and down. She has to catch a good break.
Yeah, I mean Casey O'Neill's bouncing back, isn't she? She's looking to get everything back on track, but I genuinely think she can go a long way. She just she's got some improvements to make, but I think the time out she'll have made them. I mean, the two that jump off the page to me, former bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt is finally back. Big fan of Cody. I know obviously he's not got the chin to necessarily back up the way he fights a lot of the time, but he's always in exciting fights. You never see a boring Cody Garbrandt fight. So whichever way you look at it, he's facing off against Brian Kelleher. I think that could be a fun one. I really do. I'm favouring Cody in that one. I think we might see the type of performance from him where he dances around a little bit. He's cautious now at this stage of his career, but Cody's always fun. He's always in good scraps. So that's one. One that I think could be a real close one, which is probably flying under the radar a little bit, is Alonzo Menifield and Dustin Jacoby. I think that one that's obviously the light heavyweight bout. That's got potential to blow up. I think that one could be really fun. I saw Jacoby last time out and I was pretty impressed with him. I thought he did exceptionally well. It was against go on, help me out.
Hadi Nzikrichu.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Taylor. But he just kind of ran through him, which not too many were expecting, and Menifield beat Jimmy Crute last time out as well. So they ranked 14 and 15 in the light heavyweight division. So it's a good opportunity for one of them to kind of stamp that place in the rankings and start moving forwards. I'm leaning to Jacoby. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, so I expect him to move through. So that's another one on there for me.
A lot of ranked fighters too.
Yeah,
from this, even in the early prelims and prelims, like
it's a real stacked.
4 or 5 aren't. Yeah.
Real stacked card, and it's. I guess the question maybe with these apexes and stuff, does it make the pay-per-views better, right? Because you have a filter to put some of these lesser known, build themselves fighters. But anyway, my pick for the prelims is Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. The first fight on the cards. Love Randy Brown, man. Love his style. You know, that kind of, you've got a Jamaican at the bottom and a Jamaican at the top of this card.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's kind of a nice little circle. He's just a lot of fun to watch. You know, he brings that kind of relaxed style, striking style from the outside. It'll be very interesting what he can do against Salikov, because he's kind of been going, you know, under the radar a little bit. I think, you know, he's got losses to some of the guys who have gone on and done good things, like the Leech, Li Jingliang, and also Nicholas Dalby. You look at the year Nicholas Dalby's had, right? That the fight against Salikov
He just
kind of
upset
kicked it off.
Bonfim, didn't he?
Yeah, he just upset Bonfim, and that's put him on a half decent win streak as well. So yeah, it's a really interesting, not for the opener of the card. I think they're both super exciting. Obviously, you've got Irene Aldana coming back as well. So let's see if she actually throws a punch this time, and kind of gets herself back on the radar, especially with the way the bantamweight division is looking. So yeah,
from main event to early prelims.
From main event to early prelims, exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's a lot of fun from top to bottom. I was texting with our grand overlord Lewis Simpson the other day, and saying this might be one fight card that I actually stay up for. Like, I value my sleep quite highly. If I get my 8 hours, it's a Saturday night stay up, they're not one for me. But this could be the day where I break that, where I don't watch it on sleep on a Sunday instead. So yeah, it should be a fun one. Obviously, John, it's not a good time for you. Nathan, are you going to be staying up for it?
Yeah, I'm going to be staying up. It's what I do, isn't it? Don't sleep. Yeah, it's one for me. I mean, it's funny because I'm not obviously going to run through them, but I've kind of put out the Octagon Oracle picks, and I've decided to do the whole card. And it's funny because I open up with 3 knockouts, and then I go on a run of 5 points decisions. And there's a couple of little bits and bobs in between, and then finish with 4 stoppages as well.
So what you're saying is I need to watch the first fight,
early prelims, skip the prelims, come back for the main card.
Wake up 3 hours later and watch the main card at 3. No, because I'm in Europe, so it's a 4 a.m. start in Europe. So
that's it.
That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get up for Casey O'Neill. A bit of Scottish.
Or get some Modelos in you.
Yeah.
That'll put me straight to sleep, mate. That'll put me straight
Can't have Modelo's anymore. I'm going to jump onto the Bud Light train. Dana keeps telling us.
Oh yeah, true. New sponsor. Now we got to stick to Bud Light.
It'll be a couple of monsters. Maybe just swig a monster at 12 o'clock, or just go for a mad workout straight before and just be absolutely hyped for it. So what we got coming up? Obviously, we're coming to the end of the year. So coming to the end of the year, we'll have the preview of this event, and then we're going to have some kind of get-togethers for the year behind us. So the fighter of the year, breakthrough fighter of the year, some fun ones in there for you as well. And then also a look ahead to the year to come. And we'll have a little bit of Combat Sports UK staff picks. Who's going to be champions? What are the fights we want to see? What are the narratives we think are going to play out in 2024? Who's our one to watch? So even though it'll be Christmas, your feed will still be busy with some Combat Sports UK content. So Nathan, John, I want to thank you both very much for spending this time. I've absolutely loved this podcast. I was really looking forward to it. It's been a great fun. So gentlemen, however you consume it, however me and Nathan managed to stay up for it, enjoy the fights, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.